Hey guys, so in this video, we're going to be doing a reroll guide on the units you're going to want to chase and also the ones you're going to want to use your targeted summon on. There is a clear distinction between the two, so we're going to make sure that's known through explaining a bit of the gacha systems before really getting into the main units you're going to want to target. So in this video, what you could get to understand by the end of it is number one, the main banners you're going to be summoning on, number two, the main priorities that you're going to have on launch, and number three, the main units and what they do that you're going to be summoning on. The main thing is I want to explain these guys and give you a good understanding of why you're going to want to go for these units, and also by the end of this video, hope you also know what they do. Check the timestamps if there's something in particular you want to see. And if you like the video and like the editing, because I am probably doing this editing myself, give it a like and also subscribe because I will be making a lot more Etheria Restart content moving forward. Expect at least another 3 before launch. So let's get into it. Now, one main thing is the gacha banners. The first one that's important to talk about is the targeted summon. Now, the reason for that is because that's where you're going to get a guaranteed SSR of your choice after 40 pulls. Now, in other games, 40 pulls might be a bit difficult, but not in this game. 40 pulls is something you could easily get even a week later in a day. I'm just being completely honest, you can get it that quick in some instances. So don't be stressed about waiting for this because you're probably going to want to wait for it. Now, the main reason, let me give you an example. In the beta, I did about $300 worth of summons, and then I selected Tiamat. I got Tiamat 2 multis later. So yes, you are not going to want to do this because of the fact that day one, even in the first week, you're going to be getting so many pulls that choosing it this early on means just screwing yourself over, because you probably will, almost 9 out of 10 chances, you will get the unit you select from targeted summon. So I would wait. That's the first thing. It is 40 pulls. Now, who is on this banner? I'll tell you who's not on the banner. Light and dark SSRs. It's also going to be FREYA. And then you're also going to want to make sure for the restricted units, the ones I say do not get Ling Luo, because you get Ling Luo for free on day 7. There is something very important that I just need to make sure is highlighted before we really get into the RGB part, is that after 14 days, you get a random SSR. Now, this might not seem like much, however, you're not going to get the full game, right? I just need to make sure this is understood. You're not going to get every SSR. So making sure you kind of prioritize and also monopolize on the fact that you have a random SSR and a targeted SSR is very important. So I'm making the option, not something that I'm full on enforcing on you, but I'm making a recommendation to maybe wait 14 days, get your random SSR, right, for free after 14 days, and then you do your targeted summon. However, if you don't want to wait that long, which I completely understand, then you do it after 7 days. In my opinion, 7 days is a good kind of benchmark, a good place to actually start using the targeted summon. But if you want to wait 2 weeks, that is maybe pushing it a bit. However, if you wait 2 weeks, you get a random SSR, and then you could use someone else if you get lucky. Hey, what if you get Rosa in your 2 weeks, your 2-week GSSR random, and then afterwards you could choose someone else for your targeted summon? That's what I'm recommending for you to keep in mind. At least think about it to see, maybe if your summons go well, you don't have to do that, but if your summons don't go well, maybe you want to do that. So those are the units you're not really gonna be actually getting or actually trying to pull on this banner. That's number one. Okay, now number two, we have to consider this. On the targeted summon, there are no light and dark units, which means the main units you are trying to chase are light and dark units. So this would mean Mio, Messiah, Doki Doki, Heinrich, Lily, and Sanya, but the SSR version. So let's start with the light and dark units because those are the ones that are very important. As I said, you cannot get these on the targeted summon, but they are on the permanent/standard banner. So rerolling for these units on the standard banner is the way to go. Yes, there is a light and dark banner. However, that one you cannot just use currency on, and the featured unit is Messiah, but that's triple the price, so I don't personally recommend summoning on it. So your final choice is really rerolling through the standard banner. Now, one thing before we get into the units, I want to say, very important actually, is that the standard banner technically has higher rates for the light and dark units because LD units at the moment have a 0.25% chance, and since there should be 6 in the standard, that's going to be about a 0.04% chance. So it's about equal or even higher than it is to get a certain RGB unit. The overall RGB rate is higher, however, it's split between more units. So if you're trying to chase one light and dark unit, it's actually technically a better chance than RGB units, but that's of course considering the fact that there's more RGB units with a higher rate. So maybe this is going to put a bit of put your mind at ease, considering that chasing them is not going to be abysmal, and it is definitely possible to get a light and dark unit on standard banner. Now, the three main ones that people do recommend, mainly it was 2 before, but now it has become 3, would be number 1, Lily, number 2, Mio, and number 3, Heinrich. These are the 3 that you're really going to want to push, and with personal use, I think Lily is just the best unit in the game for everything she does. So let's very quickly break down their kits. So Lily's whole thing is basically buffing with the skill 2, giving an ally a special buff called Twin Shriek, and giving the whole team a speed boost on this. And because she's pretty quick, overall very quick, right? I think the second quickest speed in the game, she will be able to make a bit of a cleave team, but at the same time, this Twin Shriek will do many things. First of all, if she uses the ult, it lowers their cooldown, and with the skill 1, it gives an assist. Now in this game, assists proc the passive of the skill 1. So for example, Hellkid, it's going to be a stun, almost guaranteed. It's a guaranteed stun if he has the barrier. Or it could also be someone like Marvel. It's going to be stealing turn meter from that skill 1. Examples like that. So Lily overall is just such a universal buffer, and she is the number 1 support you could go for because she works in a bunch of the PvE modes, pretty much everything. Amazing for Doki Doki, and also for Terror Matan. Doki was the main reason I was able to beat him because her and Marvel on manual worked very well, and then also for PvP just as good. So yes, I will say Lily is your number 1 option because of how she works with this. While we did not have access to Mio, Mio is actually just that good on paper that it's pretty much without a doubt from everyone who's seen and read her kit that have played the game already, pretty much confirmed that she is just that good. She is going to be a killer in PvP. However, she's going to be probably the best character for Doki Doki. So in terms of early game, I think it's honestly right now tied between getting Mio and Lily. Both of them will be killers in PvP, except Mio is a little better in Doki Doki, almost a lot better, because Doki Doki's whole thing, which is the main gear set you will be farming early game for the first 2 to maybe even 4 weeks, right? Doki Doki revolves all around being stunned, and then when the enemies are stunned, you do more damage to the enemies. So because of that, Mio is a stunner. So how she works is her ult is first of all going to give a speed boost to the whole team, but then also going to steal the main target's turn meter and give the whole team turn meter. So it's a double whammy. However, then why not just make the skill 2 and the skill 1 both stuns, and that just kind of wraps the whole kit, and then even make it so heals blocked on the skill 2, which is going to be amazing for PvP. So if you go either for Lily or Mio, I think these are the 2 best options to chase in the standard banner by far. Okay, Mio is just that good in PvP because of how her ult is going to really just work with a lot of things, especially someone like Marvel, and then her skill 2 and skill 1 are going to be very toxic for both Doki Doki and also just in general any content that works with stuns. Now, while Heinrich is a very good unit, I feel like his value comes more mid to late game because I also did use Heinrich and he was very good. However, his value really starts to shine when you are able to use him in Aurora. Early game, I do not see you using him in Doki Doki, and I would not really say in Terror Matan, but in Aurora, he is amazing, and in PvP, he is amazing. His whole thing is basically removing buffs, putting on a debuff afterwards that's going to increase the crit rate and crit damage, which is going to work so well with a lot of units, especially if you like Mommy Rosa, right? So this unit is going to be very, very good to do damage himself, pretty good damage, but his main thing, you have to understand how good removing buffs is, and at the same time, not only is he removing buffs, but on his ult, he does apply a buff block, which is maybe and arguably the best debuff in the game, because it also removes stuff like barriers from Hellkid, and that is just going to be such a good thing in PvP. So if you are PvP focused, all 3 of these units are good. It's going to be up to you to what type of playstyle you're going to want, because Lily is going to be more for buffing, right? While she does have some debuffs, it's mainly buffing and also making other units absolutely toxic. Mio is going to be a Doki Doki killer, which is the main gear set you're going to be farming, while also being amazing in PvP. And Heinrich is going to be mainly, in my opinion, the best in PvP, while still being as good in Aurora, which is one of the later gear stages that you're going to be unlocking a couple of days in. Now, we need to talk about this. We have this little girl named FREYA, maybe actually a goddess. And one thing about her is that she did get nerfed. And she did get nerfed to be I would say it's a pretty big nerf to where it won't always proc. It's a 70% chance to proc the turn meter lower when a debuff is applied. So why this is a problem is because now there's more of an RNG factor, which is going to be a bit harder to use in PvE, and she has her own banner on launch. I just want to put this section in where I do not think anymore it is worth it to summon on this banner because she could be pulled on standard immediately, and I do not think it is worth the 100 pulls personally. I think the next rate up units, Hoyen, and also they confirmed, I forgot his name, Holden, are going to probably be a better pick, just because the problem with FREYA now is she won't work as well to kind of warrant you only summoning for her on a rate up banner. Moving onwards, we're going to very quickly talk about my 7 top picks for the RGB banner, and you could basically base this off whatever you want, right? Pretty much the whole game's good, and if you choose who you want on target based off their design, fucking go for it. Hell yeah, I totally support that. So what we're going to do is break down their kits very quickly. So Hellkit, I think he might be the best pick, more so for mid to late game if you do want something like that. And the main reason is because of PvP. So he's going to be a killer in PvP and also a very good support in some of the PvE bosses. And the main reason is because he is going to be giving on his ult the whole team a barrier that also is going to give debuff immunity while up, and debuff immunity is going to work also to block stuns and of course regular debuffs and turn meters, stuff like that. Now, he's also going to work as a DPS. So you could see him as a bruiser to where he's going to be able to support, give a barrier, which also makes it technically tankier, giving them extra HP, giving them a debuff immunity while doing his own damage. However, he becomes even crazier because when he himself has a barrier, which he could get from his skill 3 and his skill 2, the skill 2 is going to increase the barrier amount. His skill 1 will be a guaranteed stun. So if you like that type of playstyle, I think honestly, he is my #1 pick if I'm being honest. Now, from this point forward, I do think it's a bit unranked. However, I think Hellkit is just that good in PvP and the game in general because of that barrier and his damage kind of combined. It's definitely one of the higher picks. Now, Real Mocha is going to be amazing. She's mainly going to be amazing for Doki Doki. She is just that good for Doki Doki, and early game you will be using her everywhere. In generic PvE content, Doki Doki and PvP, be it Arena or be it Summit Arena, Etheria or Summit Arena, she's going to be that good. Now, the main reason is because she is green. Green is type advantage in Doki Doki. However, the big thing, of course, like I said before, Doki Doki is weak to stuns. When you do stun, it basically makes you do more damage because it gets rid of damage reduction on the enemies. So you kind of need people to stun, and guess what? Not only is Mocha type advantage, she also stuns the enemy, which is huge. And if you kill the main enemy, which with Mocha, I'm telling you, you will be able to kill, it's going to actually become an AoE attack for a total splash damage of 100%, but without the kill, it's only going to be a 33% splash damage. However, she's really good because her skill 2 is also an AoE, and overall, just absolutely good for damage, good for Doki Doki, and that stun on the ult alongside the splash damage is going to be good for PvP later on. An overall solid pick. So Real Mocha is one of the higher tier ones. Now, next up, we've got Tsukiyo Mi. So why Tsukiyo Mi is so good is just because her ult is very generically good, right? It's very simple. It gives a turn meter boost to the allies she selects, gives her a turn meter boost, and gives everyone attack and speed boost. So this could work with literally everyone. Okay, there's pretty much no one it doesn't work with. Just reading it right now, I would absolutely love to use this with Hellkit because the attack plus and also the turn meter increase makes it so you're going to have the immunity available right away and also increase the barrier value. So for cleave, she's absolutely amazing, especially with overall pretty high speed. She's not one of the highest. There's like people with higher, with I think 5 or 6 speed higher, but she is very good. All around, very good kit. Basically revolves around buffing and buffing the DPS's turn meter the highest, and also having some silence mixed into that. Now listen, Rosa, she is something. I agree with you. I agree with you. My friend who isn't even playing this game told me, DM'd me, talking about Rosa because he saw a tweet. He was impressed. I was impressed. You're impressed. So, talking about her kit now, she is really good. She's going to be one of the best DPSs in the game. When I first saw her, I thought she was a debuffer with a side of DPS, but no, she's a full-on DPS with some debuffs, right? So why is she so good? Well, basically, she could do follow-up attacks on anybody that crits someone with a debuff. So she does apply a debuff, and that's going to be on anyone targeted with a crit, right? So it's going to be basically that she will follow up on the enemy that she crits, okay? And in single target content, it's going to be amazing. She's one of the best for guild bosses. And then in PvP, it's amazing because her ult is an AoE. And just in general, it's really good because her damage potential is absolutely killer. And she does have solid debuffs to also go alongside the DPS damage. But if you like a follow-up unit that follow-ups through crits, I think it is an absolute must that you get Rosa. Now, next up, Veronica just got a buff and is amazing. So what she does is basically, it revolves around her ult completely. She ults. She has an 80% chance to steal the buffs, and then the buffs that she does steal goes to all the allies. Just like that, right? Just like that, which is insane. And then for one turn, the whole team cannot die. They have a buff that does not let them die for a turn. So this is just amazing, especially as a final pick in PvP. It's amazing. This is more of a PvP pick. But of course, at this point, right, like I said, these are picks that you're picking in about a weekend, right? About a weekend. Now, the main reason, like I said before, is because of the fact that you want to make sure you don't accidentally get a unit twice. And at least a weekend is when you're going to kind of slow down on summoning on units. So I do want to make sure that's clear. She's going to be great in PvP. And a weekend, you're probably going to start focusing on PvP. Because stealing buffs from enemies is absolutely amazing when most of the good units, most of the top units are all buffers. Now, she does have a shield. And she can also very quickly increase her turn meter. But the main thing is stealing and redistributing to the team for sure. Now, Rahu, dude, I'm very jealous. I did not get Rahu and I did not get Hellkit. However, in terms of DPS potential, he already had some of the best damage potential in the game, right? We could check the DPS ranking. I do not know if it's updated, but in the DPS ranking, he was third. And yes, they did update it. He is third. And that is absolutely insane because he is technically supposed to be there to support. His main thing is through his skill 2, he's going to be able to increase his own defense and then also be able to transfer debuffs from the ally to the target. So he's going to take it from the ally, from your team, give it to the enemies. And it's absolutely really good. But that's not the main thing. Him being able to serve as a kind of cleanser on your team is great. However, his main thing is damage, which is insane to think about. So his single target damage potential is really, really good, okay? He's able to give everyone defense, but then also do an AoE attack on the ult and still do a very good follow-ups because of his skill 2 passive with Wrath, and then also still do good damage with his skill 1. So if you want a kind of DPS that's going to be scaling off of defense, supporting the team, cleansing the team, I think Rahu's your go-to. And so far, every single unit that I talked about, besides Tsukiyomi, I think her design's awful, right? I think it's bad. The rest, literally all amazing designs, right? I think Ramosa's got some pretty good drip. It does remind me a lot of Verena from Wuthering Waves. And listen, you have good kits, good designs. What's there not to like? Finally, Tiamat. She got a bit of a nerf, so she is not the must pick on the RGB if you don't have her. However, she is still going to be really good. Now, this might change. Hell, we might find out that she's actually kind of ass. But for right now, I do think she's actually going to be pretty good still. I mean, she has a heal over time. She has a shield for the whole team. Her ult is a taunt that still does good damage. And taunt makes it so the enemies have to use a skill 1 on Tiamat, which is really good. And then, of course, her skill 1 with the passive allows her to share damage with other allies. So giving the whole team, besides her, obviously, 25% damage reduction. But she obviously has to take the brunt of that 25%. However, then she becomes pretty much a fucking DPS with her ultimate form after she takes or heals enough HP, right? Then she becomes just someone doing AoE, pretty much mini ult every single turn, and she's very good. She's able to support, taunt, and then also when she takes or heals enough HP, she is going to be able to do damage every turn. She's going to be in an ultimate form. She's going to be pretty hard to kill in there because she's going to be healing quite a lot. The only problem now, she's healing herself less when she gets into ultimate form, which can be a problem. If you get into ultimate form through taking damage, it can for sure be a problem. However, Tiamat is just still going to be very good. However, she is in the mix with everyone, not on top anymore. Now, that concludes all the RGB units that you're going to probably want to prioritize through the target summon. Right now, of course, I would recommend, let me rephrase this or restate this, I would recommend only doing it at least a weekend, but of course after 2 weeks you get the GSSR, the random GSSR, so maybe you want to wait till then, but at least a week is when I say go for it, right? That is when I allow you guys, I open the door to the target summon and you guys could summon. There you go. Let me know who you're personally going to choose to reroll for in the LD units. I do think you're going to mainly want to go for LD units. But in terms of RGB units, these are 7 absolute killers in the game. And I mean, hey, I hope you guys have fun with this game. Let me know down below what you're going to be going for. Like the video if you haven't already. And I hope you guys are up to subscribing to this channel so I could give you guys even more Etheria Restart content. Thank you guys for watching the video. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.